It was a stormy evening when I found myself driving down a desolate highway. The rain battered against my windshield, making visibility nearly impossible. I had taken this route countless times, but tonight felt different. An eerie tension hung in the air. As I drove, my mind wandered. Thoughts of my mundane life, my dead-end job, and the weight of unfulfilled dreams pressed down on me. Just as I contemplated pulling over for a break, a flicker of headlights caught my eye in the rearview mirror. A car was approaching fast, weaving between lanes, its driver seemingly reckless. Suddenly, the car swerved off the road, crashing into the trees. My heart raced. Instinct urged me to stop. I parked and stepped out into the torrential rain, the cold water soaking my clothes instantly. The crash site was hidden in the dense foliage, but I could see the faint glow of the car's headlights illuminating the scene. "Hello?" I called, my voice barely carrying over the storm. No response. I hesitated but felt an inexplicable pull to investigate. As I pushed through the underbrush, the air grew thick with an unsettling silence. The rain slowed to a drizzle, and I reached the wreck. The car was mangled, the driver's side door crumpled and ajar. I leaned in, my heart pounding. Inside, I saw a figure slumped over the wheel. "Are you okay?" I shouted. But there was no reply. I reached in, shaking the figure gently, and felt a wave of horror wash over me. It was a woman, her face pale and lifeless. Panicking, I stumbled back, trying to process what I saw. Just then, I heard rustling from the trees nearby. My heart raced again as I turned, scanning the darkness. Then, out of the shadows, a tall figure emerged, drenched and wild-eyed. "Did you see her?" he shouted, his voice a mix of desperation and fury. "Did you see what she did?" I stammered. "Who? What do you mean?" "The driver! She's not human!" He glanced at the wreck and then back at me, his eyes wild with fear. "She's come for me. She always comes." Before I could respond, he bolted into the woods, leaving me confused and terrified. I wanted to follow to help him, but instinct told me to stay. I took a step back toward my car when suddenly, the lights flickered, and the woman's eyes opened wide, staring directly at me. Frozen in place, I watched as she slowly emerged from the vehicle. She didn't seem injured. Instead, there was a strange, predatory grace to her movements. The air thickened, charged with an unnatural energy, and I felt an overwhelming sense of dread. "What do you want?" I managed to ask, my voice trembling. Her lips curled into a chilling smile. "You're the next choice." I stumbled backward, realizing too late that the figure I had seen was not the man running from her, but perhaps another victim. The woods around me darkened, shadows stretching unnaturally. I could hear whispers, a chorus of lost souls, their lament filling the air. I turned to flee, but the path was obscured by thick vines and branches. Panic surged within me. I was trapped, a pawn in a twisted game. I remembered the man's words. What had she done? I needed to get out, to survive. Just as I felt the first tug of despair, I noticed a flicker of light through the trees. My car's headlights. I sprinted, heart racing, toward the glowing beacon. As I reached the clearing, the engine roared to life with a flick of my keys. I threw it into reverse, desperate to escape. But as I turned to drive away, I glanced in the rearview mirror. The woman stood at the edge of the woods, a dark silhouette against the flashing lights. She raised her hand, and in that moment, everything changed. A sudden jolt shook my car, and the world spun. The rain intensified, blurring my vision again. My heart pounded as I felt the grip of darkness close in. The last thing I saw was her eyes, now glowing with a haunting light just before the world went black. When I awoke, I was no longer in my car. I found myself in a dimly lit room, the air thick with a strange, musty odor. I sat up, confusion overwhelming me. A flickering bulb hung above, illuminating the space filled with old photographs and faded newspaper clippings. I staggered to my feet, recognizing the stories, stories of missing people, all connected to the same stretch of highway. And in each one, a woman with haunting eyes stared back from the photos. My breath caught in my throat as I realized I wasn't a survivor. I was the next story, trapped in an eternal cycle, a pawn in her dark game. In that moment, I understood the ultimate horror. I had been chosen not to escape, but to join her in the darkness, forever haunting the highway for the next unwitting traveler.